Hey, everybody, it's Kevin coming to you today to follow up on our series of our top 10 board games that are new to us in 2024. If you enjoy this one, make sure you check out the other two. But again, this is just a list for me personally for the games that are new to me in 2024. So some of these games are older, some of these games go back several years, but for a variety of different reasons, I hadn't played them before. So 2024 was a really cool year for me. I got 478, I think, in-person plays, and that included 301 unique different games, which was pretty cool. Pretty awesome year. I think it's going to be kind of hard to beat, all things considered. So, without further ado, I'm going to dive right into it. With number 10, I may be accused sometimes of only liking big, thinky, crunchy games, but that's not true. I do have some love for some small games. And so, coming in at number 10 is Pandasaurus's Courtesans. Really enjoy this game. It's a really fun filler game. The art on this is fantastic. We've talked about this in the podcast before. There's gold foiling on the cards. And for a small game that's just got a little bit of stuff going on, it's just done really well. The object of the game, of course, is to develop the court, as well as your personal cards, trying to determine whether or not a family is going to be in favor or fallen from grace. And then if a family's in favor and you have those cards in your hand, in your area, you'll get points. If they're fallen from grace, you'll lose points. So it's a lot of fun because you can have games where you are in the 10, 15 point range. And then other games where you're literally fighting off negative points, and the person who wins the game is the person with the fewest negative points. But really fun game. Again, only takes about 20, 30 minutes tops. Easy to teach, easy to get to the table. Great palate cleanser or way to start a night. So number 10, Pandasaurus's Courtesans. Coming in at number 9, ironically also from Pandasaurus, as well as another small box game, is Gnar. Gnar is a interesting game where you're collecting sets of different colored Vikings. You can use those Vikings to, when you play them into your tableau, to gain certain items throughout the game, certain points or upgrades, things like that. That'll give you other abilities in the game that you'll use. And then once you have a certain set, you can use those to go on voyages. So basically, you get your crew together, and then you put them out on a voyage. And that's the primary way that you drive the game forward through points. And it's one of those games that for a small box and a small game, it actually has a surprising amount of depth for what you're trying to do. But it's still very simple. So it's really enjoyable. And again, if you've been paying attention to us at all, we've got a pretty special place for Pandasaurus games in our heart. So, and this is not the last one on the list. You're going to see another one of these. So another small box game, but do really enjoy this one. Coming in at number 9 is Gnar. So this is probably one of the older games on the list, and have to thank Sebastian for introducing me to this one. But Plague Inc. So I, like probably a lot of people, played Plague Inc. a lot on my phone back in the day, and we did everything you could to try to kill everybody on the planet, which was really morbid. And but at any rate, it was a lot of fun. And at one point in the last over the last year, Sebastian, I'd seen this game sitting on the corner in the back here, and never really thought anything of it. Just assumed it was an IP money grab type thing. And one day, Sebastian really wanted to play it, and he was really excited to play it. And honestly, it's a really fun game. It's very similar to the video game in the fact that you're trying to evolve your disease and try to wipe out the planet. But it's a really good port. It doesn't really like sometimes with a video game port, they try to be too close to the video game, which I think compromises the board game aspects. But this does a really good job of actually giving you the feel of the video game, but still doing a really good board game port. So yeah, you're building up your disease. It's got a lot of variability. The cards are very different every time. The objectives, their event cards can change things up for you. The player boards have 2 different sides, so you can either play, I think it's like bacteria or virus or something like that. But Genuinely enjoy this one. It's a lot of fun. I don't personally have this one in my collection yet. I probably need to grab a copy of it before it disappears, because I honestly don't know if this one is going to be something that is going to be reprinted or anything like that anytime in the near future. So coming in at number 8, Plague Inc. What do we got for number 7? Hey, I mentioned there is going to be another Pandasaurus game. Surprise, surprise. So Dinosaur Island. I was introduced to this game by Dwayne, and there have been a handful of games in the last year and a half or so since I've known Dwayne that as soon as he's introduced me to the game, I've immediately gone looking for a copy of it, especially if it was something that was Kickstarted or there's a deluxe version or something like that that I may not necessarily be able to get in retail. And this was one of those games. Everything about this game is just absolutely fun. Fun fact, Jurassic Park was the first movie I saw in theaters as a kid. I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old, and of course, fell in love with it. It was fantastic. And Dinosaur Island just scratches that itch, brings you back to a place of nostalgia. Of course, you're building a park, hiring specialists, building out your paddocks, selecting your dinosaurs, and going through that whole process. So really, from a nostalgic point of view, it's just really fantastic. I also have one of my best friends, Marcus, is also big into dinosaurs and stuff, and he also loves kind of like this vaporwave theme. So I knew that I had to get this game, and I had to bring it to them and get them an opportunity to play it. But absolutely love this game. It's phenomenal. It's a lot of fun. Really enjoy this iteration and look forward to playing it more in the future. And again, of course, it's another Pandasaurus game. Do you think that might be the last Pandasaurus game? That's the last one in the group. But Panda Heat, they brought a lot of it this year. So number 7, number 7. Number 6 is going to be Kutna Ora, City of Silver. Czech Games produced. Again, this one was introduced to me by Dwayne. Really interesting theme. You are basically developing out the city of Kutna Ora. You've got a land area that you're putting out different buildings, you're collecting resources, but it's got a really interesting economic feature where as the population of the town grows, demand grows, but then as production increases, the value drops. So it's just got this really neat little economic engine that I think is really cool and unique to gaming. Of course, there are some other great games out there that do interesting economic models, but this one's pretty fun. It can be a little bit frustrating at times because you're building up an engine. You're trying to sell coal for when it's at its highest, and the next thing you know, a couple players take some turns, some cards get burned, and what happened, and all of a sudden, your what used to be a 4 value coal is now a 2 value coal, and you're not making nearly as much money as you wanted to. But really interesting game, and the action mechanism is really cool too, because you've got a set of cards. Each one of those cards has your actions, but they're 2 different actions on the top and the bottom. So you have to be very selective about how you're going to sequence out your actions and which side of the card you're going to use for each of those. So really fun game, really enjoy it. Every time you sit down to play, it's very different, especially if you play with the events and some of the different stuff. So a lot of fun. Really enjoy this one. So this one is rounding out the 6 through 10, coming in at number 6, Czech Games Edition, and which will probably be no surprise to anybody else who's been paying attention to this channel for the last couple weeks, months. This is not going to be the only Czech Games game on this. Another board game company that is doing a lot of great work, has done a lot of great work in 2024 and beyond. I'm looking forward to what they do in the future. So, number 6, Kutna Ora. Number 5 is another crowd favorite. Going back to another smaller box game is Harmonies. This game, of course, got a lot of attention. 5-6 months ago when it hit the shelves, and I think deservedly so. It has a really good presence. Again, it's a game that doesn't have a lot of rules. It's very simple, but it has a lot of depth for what it provides, which is pretty great. And the art is fantastic. You've got a lot of these kind of different animals that are represented, but they're done in an artistic way that's really unique and interesting. But yeah, the way you're building out your board is interesting and fun. And of course, there are two different sides of the board for scoring mechanisms, so you can get a little bit of variability. And again, as far as a game that you can table between other larger games or at the beginning or the end of a night, I think it's really fantastic because again, it provides you a lot of depth. It can get real crunchy. You can get real thinky as about where you're trying to place your stuff as you're pulling them off of the offering, and where you're going to put them on your board, and then which cards you're going to take. But not so much that you're going to get totally smoked after playing this. So really enjoy Harmonies, and it is quickly. I think it's getting pretty close to helping me get my H rating to up to 10. This one's pretty close to getting to 10 plus plays. So looking forward to playing even more of it in 2025. All right, number 4 is Burnt Island Games Endeavor Deep Sea. This was a game that I kickstarted. I kickstarted a couple other Burnt Island games, and when I saw this one, at first I wasn't actually terribly interested in this one at first, in part because I'd heard of the Endeavor series before, and I hadn't really delved into it. I never really sparked my interest. But after seeing a couple different reviews and some content on it, I was like, you know what? This one looks really good. And if nothing else, it looks incredibly well produced, and it's probably worth giving a shot. So this game, to me, I talked about this game in, I think it was when we did our the 210 GameCon live cast. I was really impressed by this game because Burnt Island did a no plastic solution for this game. So when this thing showed up on my doorstep, of course, there was no plastic, anything like that involved. But they did a really good job with the packaging and everything. Otherwise, if you didn't know better, you would have no idea that these are all recycled components or compostable components, stuff like that. It's all paper products. But they're done with high quality, and the packaging was really good. There were no stickers on the box or anything like that. It was all done up with like wax paper and whatnot, and it was really well done. And again, so no component compromise. The player trays, all the components are wood. Everything is really nice. You still have double layer player mats, really great card trays and everything. So from a component point of view, it's a really fantastic game. Really enjoyed the aesthetic the aesthetic experience. And then of course from a gameplay perspective, every time you're going to play this game is going to be very different. You're basically moving submarines around the board. You're exploring new spaces. You're developing out the area of the sea that you're working in, scanning for life, going diving, doing all sorts of different stuff. So really fun. We had a few plays of this one. I think there's something like 8 or 10 base scenarios, and in theory, you could probably set up as many individual or unique ones as you wanted, mixing and matching some of the components and the different stuff in the game. So a lot of depth, a lot of variable experience, a lot of fun packed into this game. So that is, my totally lost track, number 4. All right. So unfortunately, I do not have a copy of this one. Bad timing and planning on my part. Dwayne owns a copy of this game, but number 3 is going to be Eagle Griffin Games Rococo. And the reason I don't own it yet is because basically the only way to get Eagle Griffin games for the most part is to either get them secondhand or buy them directly from their website. And I plan to buy Rococo from the website, but I've been holding off because I'm waiting to see if I'm going to be purchasing the Lacerda bundle in a couple months when I find out if I'm going to get promoted or not. But at any rate, Rococo is a game about the French court under Louis XIV, and basically you're a dressmaker. And from a thematic point of view, you're like, what? Making dresses doesn't seem like a game that would be all that interesting, but it's so well done. And the action mechanism for selecting your cards from your deck, you get to build your deck. So it's a little bit of deck building, but you're not drawing randomly. You get to select the cards from your available cards for what you're going to do. So you can be very tactical about the cards you're going to use on an individual turn, but you can also be very strategic in sequencing your turns and when you think you're going to need certain types of cards in the future. So really enjoy that aspect of the game. Yeah, phenomenal game. The component quality is fantastic. And actually, also really excited. They are live right now on Kickstarter, I think, or Kickstarter or GameFound. Eagle Griffin has the successor, I guess, to Rococo. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but instead of making dresses, you're making pastries. It's a little bit smaller, a little bit more condensed, and the price point's going to be a lot different. It's going to be a lot cheaper. But that's on Kickstarter right now. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Again, that very similar feel, but hopefully it'll be something that scratches a slightly different itch. So coming in number 3 is Rococo. I'm sure we'll have a image or somewhere put in there at some point. All right, all the way down to number 2. Again, this one's probably going to be no surprise if you've been paying attention. This is the other Czech games getting a lot of attention lately, and incredibly well deserving of all of that attention is SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. This is a phenomenal game. There are just so many different things that you can do in this game, and every single one of them is rewarding. I have had some ups and downs in the game as far as some of my opinions of, like, is it really as good as I think it could be? Or, are the times that I'm maybe not enjoying the game or a single play of it, what causes that? And all of those things aside, every time it gets tabled, I'm really excited to try something new. I'm really excited to see some more of the cards. I'm actually not entirely sure. I've seen all the different aliens at this point. I know I think there's 5 of them in the game. I know for sure I've seen 3 or 4 of them, but there might even still be one that I haven't seen, which of course makes the game interesting from that perspective because you don't know what to expect. There's still some new stuff. And of course, from that perspective, I really do hope they put out additional content in the future for new aliens. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this because I know Sebastian already talked about it in his video, and I have a sneaking suspicion that other people are going to talk about it in their videos. But absolutely phenomenal. I've got, I think, 4 plays so far. I know I'm lagging behind some of the other guys, but I have no doubt that I will end up catching up, and I wouldn't be surprised, again, if this is another game that helps me get my H rating to above 10. So coming in at number 2, CGE's game, SETI. Last but not least, my number 1 game for 2024 that was introduced to me in 2024, and by a hair, because I think it was at the very beginning of the year that we played this game. But if you, again, listen to the content, this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. But this is Vital Lacerda's Kanban EV. This was not only my top game introduced to me in 2024, but this is just my favorite game of 2024 that I played the entire year. Phenomenal design, beautiful structure for the game. It's technically a worker placement as you're moving your worker down the factory line and you're working to build cars. This was my very first Lacerda game, and of course, had heard about Lacerda games and how difficult and how complex they were, and honestly, yeah, the first time, about halfway through the game is when the lights started to turn on, and I realized that all of my actions and all of my sequencing were at least 1 turn behind where they should have been, which was immediately frustrating, but of course made me want to come back to the game and try to get better at that. And I don't actually know if I've won this game yet, which is a really good sign that it's a phenomenal game, because keep coming back to it and looking for different ways and new strategies and trying different things and exploring different parts of the game, and really enjoying every attempt at it. So again, this is not my copy. This is Sebastian's copy. Hopefully I will own this one in the next few months, as well as a bunch of other Lacerda games. But yeah, unquestioned number 1 game of 2024, as well as new to me game of 2024. I should say it's not new, as in this was not published in 2024, but my personal top play of 2024. So that is it. Hopefully you enjoyed tuning in and seeing some of the games that I really enjoyed from this year. And hopefully there might be one or two of those games that even if they weren't new games this year or in the last couple of years, that you weren't familiar with, and highly encourage you to check them out. And of course, if you like this video and you want to see more, go ahead and like and subscribe. Until next time, have a good one.